Well, good morning, folks. I hope you're well. Or should I say, bom dia, espero que esteja bem. Because today's yerba mate review is actually a review of erva mate or chimarrão, which is the Brazilian version. And more specifically, the Brazilian version that only really the Brazilians drink. That you'll see in a moment is very, very different to yerba mate, the kind of stuff that I drink predominantly. So, without further ado, the one I'm going to do, it's a bit of a review, it's a bit of a sort of getting to know it again, because many, many years ago, while I was researching in Brazil, I was based in the state of Acre, which borders Peru and Bolivia, out in the Amazon forest, and I used to drink this stuff, which is Brown Jipa. As you can see immediately from the pack, it's very, very different because it is vacuum sealed. It's a solid brick. And the reason for that is because it's fresh, but we'll get into that right now. So without further ado, let's change the camera angle and I will show you what it's all about. Okay, looks like we're rolling, so let's get into it. So like I explained, if you look at the pack of chimarrão or erva mate, compared to a typical bag, we've got 500 grams, and you'll see very much more densely pressed. So what happens with yerba mate when it's made is it's aged and it's matured for a period of time. That's not the same with erva mate or chimarrão. This is basically harvested, cut and put straight into bags where it is sealed and to keep it fresh. So full disclosure, I have not had this for, oh my goodness. Well, it was 2006 that I was in Brazil, and I haven't had any since then. As you'll know, the vast majority of the mate that I've been drinking over the years since then has been, reaching over to yesterday's, has been the Argentinian style, like that. And I haven't had any chimarrão for, going on 18 years or so now, something like that. Probably the reason being it's a lot easier to get hold of the Argentinian mate over here than it is Brazilian. You've got a wider diversity of mates, of yerbas you can get. I guess that's probably about it. There's only a couple of different types of chimarrão you can get here. That's probably been one of the reasons. The other reason I think is because, again, full disclosure, when I was in Brazil, I used to have enormous problems actually getting to drink this stuff properly because I was quite, I wasn't familiar with the preparation of it. I didn't really know how to get the best out of it. So I'd find my bombija or bomba, as we say in Portuguese, would just get bunged up and I'd struggle with it. And I used to buy these things it was like a little drawstring bag you could slip over the end of your bomba here, over the filter. But even with those, I'd just get it clogged up. So I wasn't really clued up as to how to do it. Hopefully today I'll make a better job of it. Because, I've got some 20 years experience since then. So let's get right into it. Open it up here. Nice little hiss. So I've been meaning to do this one for ages because although as I say, I've been drinking Argentinian yerba mate for very many years now, this is one of the places where I started, really. So here we go. Let's get some on there for you to see. And the first thing you'll notice there, look at the colour of that. If I compare it to, I've got some Kraus Organic. I'll compare it side by side to this for you so you can see the difference. So, erva mate, chimarrão, bright green. It's that really, really vivid green. It's very, very powdery. It's predominantly powder there's a little bit of stick in there. Compared to the Argentinian cut, which is much, much coarser cut. Quite a lot of palo or stick in there. Completely different animal, totally different color. So these are very, very different things. Now, I can't remember the taste difference. I've been drinking Argentinian mate for so long, I cannot remember how chimarrão tastes. So today will be a bit of an experience for me as well in that regard. So one of the first things you notice about drinking chimarrão is they drink with a bombilla or a bomba, which is like this. It's a big filter. It's flat, it's spoon shaped, it's got a lot more sort of filter holes in it. And even for a cuia, we call this a cuia. And as you can see, this one's brand new. I've never used it. Even for something this size, you'll use a massive, great filter. Now this is a cuia by a company. Interesting, when I bought it specifically to do this video actually. It's made by a company called Pro Mate in Brazil. And I remember when I was going to the supermarkets in Brazil to buy chimarrão and cuias and things like that to take home with me, to take back to the UK. Pro Mate was the brand that you buy in the supermarkets. They kind of have them in these little sort of cardboard backed, vacuum packed things, and you can just walk into any supermarket, you'll find it hanging on a shelf. So that was the only sort of Brazilian cuia that I was able to get in this country, in the UK. So let's see if I can do a better job now of making chimarrão than I did when I was actually living in Brazil. So let's get in there, fill her up. Let's just get rid of that, because there is a little technique that I have actually been watching on YouTube videos, which will hopefully make this a little bit better, a little bit easier. All right. So look at that powder. That's great. Oh, decline the voice call. Look at that. Now, what I've noticed is a lot of the southern Brazilian gauchos who drink this kind of make it in a very particular way. They'll fill right up to begin with, like that. And then they'll insert their bomba and they'll move it to one side so that half of the bomba is underneath the montanita, or the mountain of mate, and half isn't. Ooh, and I've got a collapse going on there. Oh, smells nice. So let's see how this pulls. Well, first sip actually worked. Fantastic. Now, I haven't made that as pretty as a native Brazilian would, admittedly. But I tell you, you see some real works of art. If you follow a lot of the Erva mate or chimarrão channels on Instagram and YouTube and that sort of thing, you'll see people make works of art with these things. And certainly I remember, as I say, when I was in Brazil, I could walk past these little stores, these little balcões in the street, which would sell chimarrão, and you could sit down, you could order one, you could sit with your friends and share it around. The guys who made it were artisans, you know. They really were. They would make this beautiful, massive, great cuia with these great little designs on top. In the mountain of mate. And then, yeah, you could just sit and enjoy and top up, and away you go. So taste test, the first thing I'm getting here is fresh green. There's a smell like bread. Immediate smell like bread. It's kind of almost yeasty. Yeah, that's just like buttered bread or toast or something. It's really incredible. And I've got a leak on this queer by the look of it. It's got a little bit of a drip going on. But flavour-wise, it's so completely different to an Argentine yerba. Mm. Mm. Yeah. So evidently the Brazilian style of making it, i.e. setting the bomba to one side rather than opposite and underneath the montanita, works, because I'm sipping that without any problems. And if I had known that 20 years ago or so, 18 years ago or so, when I was actually in Brazil, I could have saved myself a lot of embarrassment. There were a few times I'd have friends around to my house and I'd make a chimarrão, and you know, sort of trying to be all all kind of clued in with local culture and stuff like that. I just made a tit out of myself, and my friends would laugh at me, and then somebody would go and make it a lot better than I did. But hey, it's all a learning curve, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, wow, I mean, what an amazing difference compared to something like the Kraus or the Rosamonte. This is a completely different animal. It's the smell immediately, like I said, it's bready. You know, there's a really strong bready flavour sort of smell to it. And taste-wise, just really green and fresh and yeah, completely different to the Argentinian yerbas. So I'm getting a little bit of a stickiness in there now. Let's see if I've cleared that. Nope. And this is a cheap queer because it's sitting off at an angle. I don't know if you can see that, but it's sitting off to one side. I cannot get it to sit right in this little stand that it's in. But there you go. It's all for entertainment purposes. So I'm going to sip this as my breakfast mate today, my breakfast chimarrão, and then when I've gone through a few cycles, I'll come back and give you an update on how it's tasting. In the meantime, stay cool, and I will catch you very soon. Right, folks, there's nothing quite like continuity to make one look professional, is there? New haircut, bigger beard, new glasses, new ink. And I'm not drinking chimarrão currently, but I wanted to get this video finished off. So I mentioned in the earlier part of this video that the problem with chimarrão is, or with Brazilian erva mate, there really is a technique to getting it so it doesn't clog the bombilla or the bomba. And I'm suffering all the same problems I remember from Brazil many years ago. So this is a call out, a cry out for help to the community. What am I doing wrong with my chimarrão? Please, particularly for those Brazilians out there, por favor, pode me ajudar, porque eu não faço ideia o que eu estou a fazer. Yeah, help. Basically, I've tried everything. You know, I'm back to drinking my usual my usual Argentinian mates. I've just made another one of these this morning. The moment I put the bomba in, it's clogged up. It's like trying to suck, you know, a golf ball through a garden hose. It's not happening. I let it rest. I set the bomba to one side, half in, half out the mate, all of that stuff. But I'm doing something wrong. So help me out, community. Because it really did have some great flavours to offer, and it's a shame because you know, I love my mate, and if I can master chimarrão the way that I know you Brazilian folks do, I'd be very, very pleased. But for the time being, at least, I'm just going back to my regular Argentinian mate. So this is a new brand I'll do a review of fairly soon. But that's it. This is just literally a couple of minutes just to end the video. And it's just to show that even those of us who've been doing this for a very long time still make a cock up. And I can't make Brazilian erva mate or chimarrão still. So, folks, I'll leave it with you. Drop some comments of what I might be doing wrong, why my bomber is constantly clogging, and making it impossible to drink the chimarrão. I've set it to rest. I've put the water in, let it rest for a while before I put in the bomber. I've set the bomber to one side. I've shaken it, obviously. Packed it. Nah, still not getting it. Right, catch you later, folks. Have a good one.